thank you guys for being here. I think this is going to be a great regional, and thank you to the City of Spokane and all the work that goes into making an event like this really spectacular and elite. And so we're excited to be a part and just appreciate all the people that have poured so much into it.
And a reminder to identify yourself by name and outlet, and we'll go into questions.
Austin Getz with KHQ TV here in Spokane. Coach, we've had the NCAA tournament here before, men's and women's, but I don't think we've ever had a field with this much talent and this deep. For you, as a fan of the game, as a coach, as a competitor, even on the other side of the bracket, when you look around and you see the players and the names, I mean, what comes to mind when you see how much talent is here?
Well, just what a time it is to be involved in women's sports right now, and specifically, obviously, women's basketball. I just think as someone has been doing this 32 years, sometimes I just have to pinch myself about how far we've come, and to be able to look around and see the skill level up, the exposure up, the corporate sponsorship up, the attendance up. We've been scratching and clawing for that kind of growth for a really long time, and credit to these women in this current field for how they've earned that, and thank you to all the people who have come before us to blaze that kind of trail. But it is truly a special time to be involved in women's basketball, and I just think we're scratching the surface. The best is still yet to come.
Coach Greg Lee with the Spokesman Review newspaper here in Spokane. Have you seen teams try to do different things this year, gimmick defenses, whatever, to try to stop or slow down Lauren Betts?
I think that I wouldn't say as many gimmicks. She's a tough one to it's a non-traditional situation to be, you don't box in one the center the same way as you do maybe some guards, but we've definitely seen, zones and, doubling with your off guard. We've seen just sandwiched up, even before she ever touches it, trying to just limit touches. But it's really a matter of how many people they're sending to her and what that looks like. But we've seen about every kind of rotation, or is it coming from the backside, the strong side, but it's hardly ever one-on-one. I think there's been maybe two teams all year that have said, hey, we're just going to take our chances and go one-on-one, and if we give up twos, fine, but we're not going to give up inside-out threes.
Just to follow up, is it your philosophy that Lauren's got to touch the ball every possession?
I don't know about every possession, but we can't lose track of her. I think that sometimes if she doesn't touch the ball, maybe we're creating something else because we're reading the situation really well. So as we come down, one of the big things I get really frustrated with our team is if we miss her in transition. If we get great stops and we are unaware that that's probably our best chance to get a one-on-one opportunity, that frustrates me. I think we should try to get her a touch every single time in transition off a missed basket stop that we've gotten at the other end. But I think the great luxury of having Lauren is that she also creates really good opportunities for our other players. So I would much rather them read that scenario. We always say no robots allowed. We want to have them be basketball players that are reading situations and making plays out of that. And Lauren gives you a great opportunity to put teams in rotation every single time down the court. It's just a matter of reading how those are coming and how we, capitalize that for somebody else.
Hi, Cori. Kendra Andrews, ESPN. I have two questions for you, if that's okay. To start off, the Bruins haven't made the Elite Eight since 2018, and I know that you guys have bigger aspirations than that, but how, just big would that be to cross that hurdle again? And what about this specific group that you have makes that something that you feel is achievable?
Well, it's obviously really, you want to make those next steps. We have a competitive staff and team, and they want to, like you said, we have bigger aspirations, and we know where we've been and where we want to go. But honestly, I want them to focus on the preparation. I've told our team this story many times, and it's sort of one that gets passed down. But I remember Elena Beard came and spoke to our team. This was a long time ago, but she told the story of being in a Game 5 in the WNBA championship at Minnesota, sold-out crowd, and she asked herself two questions. Have I done everything under my control to master my craft, and have I been an elite teammate? And she told herself she could answer that question yes to both. And so she told herself, surrender the outcomes and play in freedom. And I want our players to have complete focus on mastering their craft and being elite teammates with and for each other. And then that gives them the best chance to go back to an Elite Eight, go beyond to a Final Four, to compete for a national championship. I think when you focus on what will that mean to the program, and is that going to be pressure for me? I actually think it takes away from the freedom to maximize your performance in the present moment. And so, would it mean a lot? Absolutely. Are our eyes focused on the standards of what it will take to get there? Yes. But I really just want us to stay present on being 1-0.
My second question, you're obviously such a voice for women's basketball and just how much the sport has grown, as you've been saying. Sorry. Juju, who was in regional in Spokane, just how disappointing is that for her as a young player, but then also she is a face of this sport, and just how much of a hit does that take for women's college basketball?
Well, I really hope that, she's been wonderful in sort of taking the mantle and really being the face of women's basketball. She's really continued to be a reason why we're continuing to push the sport forward. And I know she's brought out better things in our program. And so really thankful for the elite talent that she is and what we've been sort of able to do in Southern California together. That being said, two things. One, she will come back better and stronger. I can't wait to hear how this affects her story moving forward. And she will be, who knows how it will manifest, but I don't have any doubt she will look back on this and go, you know what, in the long term, it actually made me a better basketball player. And I grew a ton as a young woman. She's such a fighter. She'll be ready. That being said, I feel like it's time for people around the country to really step up and see some of the other amazing players who are ready to shine. I am so sad that Juju is not playing in the tournament anymore, but I am excited for other players that are going to step into that spotlight. And it's not even about my players. It's about the sport in general. Goodness gracious. I'm having to scout all these players and, the guards from NC State and obviously great players from LSU. Those are just the ones on my path, but that's like selling it short. There are so many elite players in our game, and I can't wait to see some new faces shine.
Hi, Cori. Maddie Kenny with the New York Post. I know you mentioned the Elena Beard story, but being the #1 overall seed, having that target on your back and that pressure that comes with it, how do you keep your team mellow-headed and not let it get the best of you?
Yeah, mellow-headed, I like that. I think the reality for me is usually when things like this that feel like pressure, first of all, is a privilege. Like, how many people would love to be in our shoes? And Coach Tasha leads our mind gym, or our mental conditioning. And she said something yesterday when she was taking the team through some mind gym exercises that you're going to be great because your preparation is always going to be greater than the moment. And so I just want us to stay focused on that. But when I can sense that they're like putting that pressure on themselves because they are a bunch of achievers. This is the hardest working group I've ever had a chance to be around as a collective whole. And I think the two things I really try to focus on are gratitude and joy. I think when you are just focused on, man, you have worked, look what you've earned, how great is this moment, what an opportunity, and just filling the room with gratitude and joy and lightness. And, let's, as long as we're doing our job with our preparation, I just think the more we can laugh, the more we can understand how fortunate we are, I think we free ourselves up for the biggest moments. They understand the assignment.
Hey, Coach. Brendan Potts, World Exposure Report. Good to see you. I wanted to ask about Angela. She's kind of been an unsung leader for this team. How has the growth of her leadership impressed you this season?
Yeah, that's the thing about our team is someone asked me the other day about what's been most fun for you to watch this team, and I think it's celebrating all the unsung heroes, the people that have made really selfless choices for the betterment of the whole. And I think Angela is one of those. Angela is one of the most skilled, four players and swing players in the entire country, and she has just been so willing to be like, hey, what does the team need from me? Her ability to shoot the three, to space the floor on the high-low game with Lauren, her ability to switch out. One of the things that I remember seeing in her in the first Olympics that she played in, the way they used her to switch out on guards and her ability to sit down in a stance and keep people in front, that gives us such a luxury in terms of what we're able to do defensively and how we rotate. And so but more than anything else, you have to make a mental and emotional choice to choose team first. I think we've been the quietest #1 team in the country that nobody's talking about. I mean, I know we've gotten plenty, but I sort of relish that. Like, we have just a selfless team that just cares about winning and cares about making each other better. And Angela has been a really key factor in that.
Hey, Cori. Hi. You mentioned this earlier in the week that you just love watching the way Ole Miss plays defense, and I was wondering if you could elaborate on what is it specifically that they do.
Well, credit to Coach Yo on this. She's just, built an identity around this tough-minded, what her T-shirts say, disrupt or something in disrupt. But they just find their identity in being a really tough-minded defensive team, and that they're going to do it that defensive, gritty way. And, I don't think that's easy to do in this day and age as a leader. So first of all, kudos to her as the head coach that's built that as the foundation of their program. But just watching on film, that's been our total focus, is that, what are we going to do to be able to attack to our strengths versus that tough-minded defense? And, everything. And obviously, we've been paying attention to their team just because we're still Christine Uwala fans. So we've probably watched more games throughout the year, just celebrating her next part of her journey. So I feel like I did have a better sort of sense going into this game than maybe I would have otherwise. But they know who they are and they know how they're built. And so I think other than rebounding, I would say our ability to take care of the ball and get paint shots against that tough-minded defense are really the keys to the game.
Eden Lassie, Hoops HQ. Obviously, Kiki is such a talented player, and we've seen, a lot of her leadership in the way that she called that players-only meeting after the loss to USC and things like that. But what does she do behind the scenes that really makes her special in your eyes?
Well, it starts with her work ethic. It starts that she has built a culture of work in our program that has been absolutely contagious. I've had multiple WNBA coaches come through and go, the way that they work before and after practice with such consistency and across the board that doesn't happen very many places. And that credit goes directly to Kiki. I think the second thing that's been so fun to watch in her growth is she's always been a performance leader and leader by example. But Coach Shannon has done an incredible job in our Leaders in Training program, our LIT program, helping her find what does her influence and voice look like. And it can be unique to her. And so helping her find what does it look like for Kiki Rice to be the most impactful and influential leader. She's going on a journey, but she's making sure she's bringing people with her. And that's been really fun to watch her find her voice and influence. And really, I give Coach Shannon a lot of credit for that.
Jim Allen, Spokesman Review. Speaking of injuries, Charlize Ledger-Walker has been in your program for a while now. How is she handling her situation, and what are you hoping to see from her down the road?
Well, let me just tell you that we have a potential to have everybody back next year, and I'll tell you, one of the motivating factors of that is everybody is excited to play with Charlize Ledger-Walker. But just such a credit to her character. She's the mother of the team right now. She is one of the most trusted people. She's had such an incredible impact, and she's never played a game yet. And she actually just started practicing a few weeks ago. And so we are so excited about the way that she's going to impact our program. She already has on so many levels, but I had to pull one of our players aside the other day and go, you can celebrate Charis for months to come in the off season, but let's celebrate the people you're going to play with right now, okay? First. And she, oh yeah, I lost track. It's just so fun. And so Charis is just, I mean, she's going to be one of the most elite guards in the country, and she's been an incredible addition to our team, and we're really excited to help her see that impact in between the lines as we have seen it behind the scenes this year.
Thanks. Chantel Jennings with The Athletic. Cori, you guys are obviously in a time of year right now where you can only focus on what's in front of you, but the basketball world keeps spinning, and the portal opened this week. You're a program that has benefited from the transfer portal. I'm curious in this time, how as a staff you balance both transfer portal recruiting and Sweet 16 prep, and then kind of more broadly, I know that the timing changed. It opened after the selection show last year. Now it opened this week. Like, is there a better time of year for this to happen?
Yeah, and I will. It's a little dangerous for me to get into this, but I do think an unintended consequence. I thought it was good that we, moved it back, I guess, but an unintended consequence that I think is that it's also affect the coaching carousel. I think we have been rushing hires so that we could get people in place before the portal, which has distractions from their current teams, which has, it's just a tough thing in addition to portal situations right now. And I am going to be advocating in the offseason that we make another shift. I don't think it's in the best interest of our game, in the best interest of our kids, in the best interest of our coaches to have that being a distraction in the most magnified time. We need to have our focus on finishing this tournament in the most, exceptional way. And I think the timing is taking away from that. I'm very fortunate because who knows? You never know until the season's over, but I don't have as many spots to be doing that, but I have been on the other side of that. I remember being in the bubble and doing Zooms with portal families at the same time I'm prepping for a game the next day. And I just can't see how that's really a good idea. So I think we made a good step, and I honestly didn't anticipate the part about the coaching carousel and how much that would affect things. But I'm seeing it and hearing about it everywhere, and I think that's something we got to address immediately.
All right, thank you, Coach.
I
Well,
appreciate
welcome.
your guys' time.